This is the SoCal Intellect Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We got Mr. Andres. We got Mike. Let's talk hoops, fellas. Let's talk about the Miami Heat. Let's talk about the bubble. My man Zion had to leave the bubble today to attend to a family matter. Let's discuss, man. So what's really new with y'all, man? Like what y'all thinking about this whole bubble situation?
I mean, in the first couple of days, we've seen players complain. We don't know if it's like sarcastic or not.
Yeah.
I think that players shouldn't complain. I mean, they got a roof over their head. They got food on the table. They got to see their friends, their comrades. So I don't think they have everyone has a right, but like, I mean, you're healthy. You know, you should be thankful that you're playing. So there's other people in worse situations. So I'm guessing like some of it is sarcasm, some of it is not.
Yeah.
Like Austin Rivers posted a video. He was like, "Man, look at where LeBron is going." All that building for himself. So to a certain extent, they're like chilling and like taking it as a joke. But I mean, it's working so far. So hopefully we get to see them healthy with the scrimmages starting next week.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing, just the safety of the players. That's what's for me, like just making sure that they're safe and the whole virus thing. Like hopefully the NBA is taking the right precautions to keep the players safe because they have to be away from their families for like 3 months, and that's
already tough. Like it's crazy that they've had to more or less go to like a campus style of, you know, living for the next 3 months because, you know, this is their job, this is their livelihood, you know, this is what they, you know, this is how they put food on the table, you know, how they pay their bills and stuff, man. Like, yeah, most of them, you know, they love playing basketball and it's, you know, it's the game they grew up loving or it's the game that, you know, they've become accustomed to, you know, doing for a living. But that stuff really matters, man. Like not being able to be with your family, that can take a toll on your morale. And, you know, you got to see how it could really potentially affect some of these guys. You know, a lot of these guys are really tight knit with their families, especially, you know, the ones that have kids. Like LeBron has his children. He has two sons and a lovely daughter. And, you know, Jason Tatum had to leave his little mini-me Deuce behind. And I know that was, you know, that was gut-wrenching for him. So it's like the bubble idea, like, yeah, like I said, it's their livelihood. That's how they eat. That's how they, you know, pay bills and all. But I know it's going to take a toll on someone. But I think they'll be all right. And especially, like, you know, how Mike was touching on to the subject of, you know, being precautious. I think, you know, so far it seems like the measures are going well. But, you know, you got to be ready for stuff like, you know, with Michael Beasley's situation. I feel bad for him. You know, he was finally, you know, about to be back on track, you know, playing basketball in the league again. And then he tests positive, and then now they're about to use his roster spot for somebody else. So it's like, you never know, man. Like that bubble, somebody could have it in the bubble, whether it's a staff member or the players or somebody from the Disney staff, and it could easily, you know, just be transmitted, and you never know. And, you know, stuff like that, it could either it could really make or break this whole bubble restart, man. So I don't know. I hope things go well. And, you know, speaking of people with the bubble, I need Bam to get to the bubble, man. I'm hoping he's able to get it there soon, but I want him to be fully, you know, healthy first, obviously. You know, that's what's more important. But I think, you know, with Miami, I feel Miami is one of those dark horse teams. You know, a lot of people like to sleep on us because, you know, we don't have any superstars or we don't have, you know, a lot of the teams that these top-tier teams have. And that's okay with me. You know, I like when people would doubt us because even when we had the big three, people was doubting us. So everybody wants to revise the history and act like, oh, he had a super team, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we did have a super team, but y'all used to always say, you know, we was overrated or D-Wade wasn't going to be the same with Bron and blah, blah, blah. But now the tables have turned and whatnot. But what y'all think? Like,
it's good to be the underdog.
Yeah, man. Like, I agree. What you think about the Heat, Just? Like, what you think we're going to do?
Well, going back to like the last topic, let's say like the Celtics or the Lakers win the title. Like, how long does LeBron have to quarantine? How long does Jason Tatum have to quarantine?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
They're already going 3 months without seeing their kid, and like it's already tough for them. And like, yeah, they could FaceTime them, but like just getting to hug them is one thing, and like FaceTiming them is another. So I feel like, you know, They're probably going to be precautious. They're probably quarantining. I mean, we saw it with Nina and Russell Westbrook. You know, they were commenting on each other's Instagram. You know, I missed you and stuff. So it's not something that's like lightheaded.
Yeah.
But going back to the topic, it feels good to be the underdogs, man.
It does.
The last 3 years, they haven't been, you know, exactly Miami Heat basketball. You know, and when you win a championship and when you're there, you just get used to it. You know, you don't settle for like mediocrity. Like, no offense to the Atlanta Hawks, but like nobody wants to be the Atlanta Hawks from like 09 to like 15, man. Once you win once, you just get used to it. That's why when people are complaining like, oh, well, Heat fans are so spoiled. I mean, we're not spoiled. It's just that
it's just what we're accustomed to.
When you're used to winning, you just want to see the team be consistently in the playoffs. You know, and there's only 3 teams in the East that have a winning record against teams over 500: the Bucks, the Heat, and the Celtics.
Yeah.
And the Raptors have been injured and the Pacers have been injured. But listen, man, the whole NBA has been injured. You know, next man up all season long.
Injuries.
So to discredit the Heat and what they've done is just like bogus. You know what I mean? So I feel like being the underdog for once, and Jimmy having a chip on his shoulder, Spo being the top 2 coach that he is. You know, I think things could go our way this year, especially in this AAU style of format.
I know Mike knows about, you know, being accustomed to seeing his team win, being a Laker fan. So, Mike, I know you got full confidence in your team, man. But, you know, even though Rondo is out and, you know, that's losing a point guard and a ball handler and a distributor off the bench, do you feel like you guys have enough bench depth to, like, really, you know, step up in the playoffs, like with Dion and J.R. Smith and them?
Definitely. I think we're perfectly fine. Like, going through that tough time back in high school when the Lakers were just trash.
I remember those days, man.
That was terrible. And just to see the Lakers come back and like actually be the top team it's a very good feeling.
Yeah.
And I like our new add-ons that we have because of the bubble situation. But I think we can really make some noise and continue being on top in the West. So.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, the Lakers, they get a lot of, you know, bashing because, you know, they have LeBron, they have AD, and, you know, the whole clutch situation. But I feel with the Lakers, you know, a lot of people like to tag on, you know, their depth chart. And, you know, they don't really have, you know, a whole bunch of super quality, serviceable players all around their bench. Like somebody like the Clippers will have. Like, you know, everybody talks about the Clippers bench and, you know, they look at other teams' benches like the Celtics and all that. But I
like
feel like
handlers,
like
players.
people that can, you know, create their own shots and do all that kind of stuff. But they have 2 of the best players in the world, man. Like they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So any team that has 2 superstars of that caliber, if you got at least some solid, serviceable guys around them, I think you're able to go far. And I don't see anybody beating them in the West. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible because, you know, anybody can be beat, especially with this bubble situation. But I do think that they're going to get to the finals. And I could see them winning it, but I truthfully don't know. But if I had to put my money on it, I would say that LA is going to the finals. That's probably my best bet. It's probably the safest bet, too.
I think guys like Dwight Howard, you know, he looked at himself in the mirror. He's like, listen, I'm 34 years old. I'm running out of time. I'm going to swallow my pride and just be serviceable.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's been like one of the best players for the Lakers this year. I don't think Rondo's injury hurts the Lakers like as much. Yes, they lose a playmaker, but I think their big loss is Avery Bradley. When Avery Bradley's on the court, man, the Lakers are like the number 1 defense. And now with him out, it drops to 10. Yeah, 10 is a good spot, but like when you're the best defense in the league and you lose a player and you drop from like 1 to 10, it's a big difference.
Yeah, you're dropping 9 spots. Like that's a pretty big drop off, regardless if top 10 is good or not. You're losing a perimeter defender, and yeah, AB is like 6'2", maybe 6'3", but still he was playing phenomenal defense for the Lakers this year. So, you know, you lose a guy like that, and they're gonna see the effects of it. Like I'm pretty sure the players already know, you know, what's gonna happen, but they're gonna miss him more than, you know, people like to give him credit for. Like Laker fans see it, but I've noticed fans from other teams don't really like to give AB his props.
No, because they look at the 5 points per game or the 6 points per game.
Yeah, like they're looking straight
watch
at
the
points.
games, man.
Like if
like
you
the
look at
Clippers
AB,
game that Sunday, that was crazy. He had like 6 3-pointers, you know?
Yeah, he had a
They're going to
really
be like,
good
oh,
game.
it was only one game. He got hot. But, like, listen, all you need is one game to get hot, you know? Shane
Mhm.
Battier wasn't the best in the 13 finals, but all he needed was one game to get hot. And that
Yeah,
game 7 was
we
amazing.
damn sure needed Battier that game, and he showed up too. I'll give Battier his props, man.
So when people say, "Oh, well, Avery Bradley's just one player," like he's an anchor. Can J.R. Smith be that guy? Given that he said, "I'm here to hit threes and play defense," yeah. But like Avery Bradley played 65 games, 66 games, like
and he's
75%. So yeah, there's only like 3 teams in the top 5 in offense and defense: the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lakers are already down an important player.
Yeah.
So we'll see in these scrimmages and these 8 games how it hurts them, but. Hopefully JR maybe could be that guy for them. Maybe Dion, we'll see. But losing AB is definitely a big minus for the Lakers in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. That just made me think of a question to ask y'all. Like, Mike, I know you've seen plenty of, you know, especially being a Laker fan, you know, loving Kobe and whatnot, especially like I have. You know, I've always loved Kobe and watching the Lakers. But with the whole, you know, role players like missing thing, or just role players in general, like I wanted to ask both of y'all, since I just thought of it, who do y'all feel, not necessarily your favorite role player of all time, but like who do y'all feel like has been one of the more essential role players that y'all have had in your team's history? Like, Mike, I know you, like I said, with the Lakers, you've seen plenty of them, like Lamar Odom, Robert Horry, like you got a whole bunch of guys like that. Like who is that essential guy to you? Like who's been that essential guy to you?
To me, like just like for my team, or like
just the Lakers period. Like whether it's this year, from other years, it don't matter. Like somebody like example like Derek Fisher or something like that,
or like Robert Saker.
Yeah.
Robert Saker, man.
Nah, I'd probably be Lamar. Like Lamar, he did real good for the Lakers, and people like Metta Peace. He did good when he hit that shot on the Celtics. Big shot, big game. So we've had a lot of people that aren't stars, but they make like a great impact.
Yeah, they step up when you need them.
Yeah, I think we still have that in our current team, like Caruso. Like, even though like he's somewhat overhyped because of the House of Highlights, always put him on all the time. But he is a great player.
But he does his job.
Yeah, he does. Great player. Like a lot of people that we have on our team, oh my God. I mean, we have on our team, like they do their jobs, and that's why we're top. So as long as we have that, then we're good. So,
Andres, what about you, man? Like, who would you say? You can even think back to our championship run. Like, who has been one guy in Heat history for you? I know who mine is, but who has been one guy for you that you felt like was essential? Like, we wouldn't have got to where we were when we were winning championships without this guy.
If you want to go back to 2006. I feel like Gary Payton, man. When you look at those stats, you know, a lot of people when they make their top 10 point guard list, they forget about that point guard that won Defensive Player of the Year.
Only point guard to ever do it too. The only one.
I feel like when you're sitting there bored and you want to look at highlights from the days and you just see Gary Payton running around, you're like, you know, I wish I was older watching like GV playing like the 90s. You know what I mean? That man. He wanted to check Michael Jordan after they were down in the series. You know, imagine waking up one day and you tell your coach, I want to go check Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And he's like, all right, no, that's fine.
Yeah, like out of the blue, so confident. Like,
and he played great defense on him. He made him suffer. You know, Mike didn't have his best games in those last 3 games of that series.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on to the more modern time, I feel like Mike Miller, man.
Mike Miller was essential.
One memory of that 2012 team, man, that power theme song in Game 5, that was like goosebumps, man.
Yeah,
that
man.
Goosebumps. Man, Mike Miller, he was out. He sent a message. You know what I mean?
He went nuclear, bro. I remember that.
He did not care. And then the following year, you know, Shane Battier was starting and he was off the bench and like back and forth.
It was
and another guy, honestly, Birdman, man.
Birdman doesn't get enough credit. I will say that. He doesn't.
When we got him during that February run and we got the Harlem Shake and all that going on, I don't think people realize how good he was, man.
Yeah.
I feel like Birdman is definitely one of those players for sure.
I could say, if I'm going to say one definitive guy, I'm going to go with UD. And that's because UD has been there literally through every run we've had. Like,
every sweat.
He's been there for when we were on top, when we were, winning championships. We won 3. One with just Flash and Shaq, and then Flash, Bron, Bosh, Ray Allen. We had these all types of Hall of Famer guys.
Mario Chalmers.
Yeah, legend Mario Chalmers. We had Rio, man. That's another guy who doesn't get his due diligence. But UD, man, like he's been the heart for the longest. He's still the heart of that team to this day. Like that's why, with UD, he's 40. He doesn't really play anymore. It's just he brings that like he's literally the OG, but he brings that type of vibe. He instills the confidence in the young guys to be like, hey man, I didn't even get drafted and I made it here, and I've been kicking in this league for almost 20 years. So if I could do it, you could do it. And I have a lot of respect for UD. He's a really good dude. He's a great person, and somebody like that, you need somebody like that on your teams. Like kind of like how the Warriors needed somebody like Draymond Green. Draymond is, no matter if he has 5 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, the Warriors will not win any championships without Draymond Green. It's as simple as that. Like, you're not going to win a championship without him because, it's not about just what he does on the court. He was the leader. He was the vocal leader. He was getting on these guys.
He kept the locker room in check.
Yeah, like he was getting on these guys about, if they made a mistake. Like he wasn't afraid to hold anybody accountable. And would he hold himself accountable? I'm sure he would, because a great leader has to be able to hold himself accountable amongst, his teammates and, anybody that's riding along with him. So I give a lot of tremendous respect to guys like him and Udonis Haslem. So with that being said, leadership is definitely something in the NBA that gets overlooked. And
I think it was like mental health, man. I feel like
you gotta really take into account with that stuff.
Those UD kind of players, they probably check in on players after a bad game or a good game. They're just like, listen, man, you missed that shot, you make the next one. I feel like every team needs that kind of player.
Yeah, you have to have a player like that. You have to. It's mandatory. Because if you don't have somebody that's going to hold your guys accountable or instill confidence in them, then your team is only going to go so far. And, with guys, like I was saying with Draymond, yeah, he had his whole little riff with KD last year, but the Warriors were still a dominant team. They weren't as good as the previous 2 years, but they're still the Warriors. They still have tremendous talent, and he's still in that locker room, man. Like, you need somebody like that to lead the charge. So I just feel like
fresh off of 2 championships and you're still holding players accountable.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter if you won, bro. You still have to keep repeating the same formula. The same formula is gonna. If it worked the first time and nobody's figured it out yet, keep going at it. And that's my thing on it. So
it feels like corny. It feels corny to a sense.
It's corny to say so, but it works.
Bring up Kobe's thing when he said job's not finished, but the job wasn't finished.
It wasn't. Like he said, there's nothing to be happy about.
A lot of people say the playoffs start when the road team wins. So he was just like, what did we do? What did we accomplish? All we did was defend home court. Yeah, so people started criticizing him. He was like, oh well, he's too much. He's way too serious. Nah. Yeah. Imagine going with that mentality of, oh no, let's be laid back. We won the first 2 games. You can't do that. So I think guys like Draymond, even after they were up 3-0 against the Cavs, they were like, what are you guys celebrating? We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
It's not over with. Yeah. So, going away from the, more of a nostalgic type of, topic, I wanted to ask y'all, what y'all was thinking about. They was talking about Zion was, I think they say he was cramping. He was experiencing leg cramping before he left out of the bubble. Y'all think stuff like that with Zion is going to hamper him for real, or y'all think it's just it's little stuff that happens? Because he's a big kid, man, and he takes care of himself well. He's gotten into better shape, but a lot of people have thrown out their words. Oh, how are his knees going to hold up? How are his legs going to hold up? And his back, blah blah blah. I'm like, y'all think there's going to be genuine concerns about him, in his health? Because I personally don't. I feel like he's young. He knows how to manage his body, and the Pelicans are going to do it the best they can. But what do y'all feel about how people be talking about his his weight and all that kind of stuff, and how it might affect his health?
I think he's good so far. The training staff, I think they have a great training staff, and just learning from like looking at like biomechanic videos, like how the body works and everything. I think he's in a good spot as long as he lands well when he does his dunks and everything. And just you saw how much he's changed from being chubby to skinny already. So
yeah, like he slimmed down and was just like yoked up instead of, you know, being like big chubby Zion that could still fly around and average 24 points a game apparently, but
which is
what do
scary.
I know? Yeah, that's really scary.
So you see he's getting NBA ready. So there's no need for concern at this moment.
How you feel about it, Jess? What's on your mind?
Man, I've been wanting to get this out for a while. I feel like fans love to see superstars fail. Like
I do, yeah.
They want to see Zion fail so they could prove a point, man.
Yeah, it's like they want to be right.
You're 30, 40, pushing 50 years old, and you want to see a 19-year-old kid fail. Like, what do you gain from it, man? I feel like Zion is going to be fine. You know, he probably has the right trainers around him, the right people. And I just feel like I said, a lot of reporters want to see him fail just so they could write in a 1,000-word article saying why I was right. And they bring back a tweet from the NBA draft or from when he was in college, like, oh, look, see, he was 280.
Like, I told y'all that he was too heavy. Like,
and he should have retired. Like, he's a kid. He's living his dream. He's trying to get food for his family, a better roof probably. So stop hating on the kid and just enjoy him. You know, same thing with Luka. Luka's getting more love from the mainstream media. I feel like that's why a lot of players are hating on him now. But still, you know, they're kids. They're 19, they're 20 years old. They're bound to make mistakes. And Zion, like you guys said, he was chubby and he was putting out 24 points a game efficiently. Oh, well, he could only dunk. He could only get layups. Like, if that's your game, why would you switch it up?
Yeah, who's to say that's not going to work? It was working already.
Steph wakes up one morning. He's like, you know what? I'm tired of shooting threes. I'm going to go try to dunk every game. No. So he plays his style because, like, it gets him 20 points a game and it gets it to him efficiently. So what exactly are you complaining about that Zion is doing? What is he doing wrong that's not fitting your agenda? So I just feel like a lot of reporters just want to see a superstar fail like him, honestly.
I agree. Yeah, it's like telling LeBron not to drive. That's like telling LeBron not to drive to the basket when he's 6'9", 260. Like,
the whole 2K
that's
thing,
what he's best at.
How are you going to be enraged over a video game, bro?
Yeah, I had a tweet about that. I was like, y'all are mad that probably the most marketable player in the NBA right now, aside from Bron, is on the cover of a video game that, for one, has been struggling the past few years anyway, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. Two,
like 6 years.
Two, it's like they were trying to make money, bro, and I've yet to meet somebody that genuinely doesn't like Zion. Like, they've had their little comments like, oh, he's chubby, he's fat, blah, blah, blah. Like, they said little stuff like that. Yeah, like stuff like that. But, like, I have yet to meet somebody that genuinely didn't like him because he's such a likable kid, bro. Like, he's always smiling. He keeps to himself, but he loves the game of basketball. He loved, people always say, oh, he was too young to even watch Michael Jordan. Well, there's something called YouTube. There's tapes. There's plenty of footage of Michael Jordan. It's not hard to go look it up or go watch it on YouTube or somewhere, man. Like, I'm sure kids that are born in the past 5 years are going to watch LeBron videos from about 10 years from now and study the hell out of him. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Basketball is a game of history, man. Like,
evolution.
You think Kobe didn't study people like Magic Johnson? Like, yeah, Kobe was alive to see Magic Johnson play, but Kobe wasn't old enough to understand basketball the day Magic Johnson was drafted. Like, he missed some of his years. I'm pretty sure Kobe Bryant, rest in peace to him, he wasn't able to watch Magic Johnson take over.
He was like 2 or 3 or 4 years old.
Like, he was a baby, bro, but I guarantee you he's seen those games. He had saw those games a million times. And same with LeBron. I guarantee you he saw plenty of Magic Johnson clips that he wasn't even born for, or same with Michael Jordan. Like, I don't understand why people, discredit that, because Zion is such a hardworking kid that he wants to get better every single day. Like, some kids come into the league, like, they think they all that already. Like, they think, okay, I'm good already. Like, what I need to work on? Zion is looking for stuff to get better at every single day. He's so coachable. Like, that's where my respect mainly comes in for him, because he wants to excel. He doesn't want to just be, Zion, the kid that can dunk on you every night and put up 25 points a game. He wants to be better than that. He's already good. So that's something like that is scary, man. Like, it's not a lot of people that have that kind of work ethic. So I respect them tremendously for stuff like that. And I wish people would stop, trying to, hope for his downfall so they could hope on his downfall so they could be right. Like, oh, we were right about Zion. We knew this whole time. Like, no, you didn't. Like, I just don't understand why that's such a big deal for people, but that's how it is. That's how it is with everybody in sports, man. It doesn't matter if it's basketball, football, hockey, baseball. It happens everywhere. And that's just people that want to see, good guys fail for no reason. And it's not fair, but that's the way
that's the world we live in, man. It's a world full of hate. It's a world full of envy. Nobody wants to see anyone successful. You tell someone, oh, listen, I got a new job, and they're just like, oh, okay, good for you. Like, where's the congrats? And,
damn, and then when you're at the congratulations, top, nothing. Like,
how many people do you think doubted Zion when he was in high school? They were probably like, oh, you're doing this in high school, but you're not gonna be able to do that in college.
Yeah.
Now that he's in the NBA, probably many people texting like, yo, man, listen, I was sorry. Like, nah, man.
Like, nah, you ain't believe in me, so why you want to switch up now? Like,
the only thing Zion does is smile and go to the gym. Like, that's it. You don't hear. He was probably the quiet kid in high school. So like when people want to see someone like him fail, it's just bogus. And going back to the whole bubble thing, you haven't seen like Jimmy Butler complain because he's been homeless. Yeah. You haven't seen Jay Crowder complain. All these players that were homeless or didn't have anything to eat or were sleeping in their friend's house or were sleeping in the garage.
Arguable greatest player of all time had to sleep house to house, bro. Like, LeBron wasn't in a stable environment all the time growing up. And look how he turned out. He's at worst a top 2 player of all time. Like,
so I don't think, So players, so do players have the right to complain? Yeah, but like, look at the other superstars in the league and ask yourself if they're complaining. Like they probably text each other like, bro, we've been in worse conditions. Like, we could do this, and they're gonna get through it. God willing, health is gonna be fine. They're gonna be able to finish in October, and the Mickey Mouse ring, the asterisk ring, will actually be a thing.
Yeah, I feel like some of these guys don't like some of these guys on Twitter or like even the writers. They don't understand that a lot of these guys have been through so much worse than the conditions they're in right now. Like, of course, they haven't experienced like a pandemic or anything, but talking about just the, like the whole thing with the meals and what they eating and where they staying at. Like, these guys have come from so much worse, bro. Like, this is nothing to them. And they get to play the game they love on top of that. I promise you they're not making it as big a deal as it seems. Some of them are joking. Some of them are just like, bro, I've been in worse conditions. This isn't anything new to me. Like Brandon Ingram was saying, he's from Kinston. He's seen worse than this. Like, this isn't bad for him. Or somebody like John Morant. Like, John Morant didn't grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth, so he understands a lot too. So I don't know, man. People just like to kind of nitpick at these guys and make it seem like, oh, they're being too privileged or they've gotten too used to this lifestyle. Like, no, bro, they don't really care.
It's probably like 2% of people like complaining, and the other 98 is probably like being sarcastic or just
they're just messing around. Like, it's like, they're rich and they're accustomed to being able to go get a $300 steak or something like that, but they don't really care, bro. Like, they've come from worse and they've succeeded out of worse. So it's like
they probably ate like ice for dinner, ice for lunch, and ice for breakfast, and they were smiling because they had their AAU tournament.
Can go because they can go play basketball. It's that simple. But
yes, but I do feel like there should be another concern for like mental health. There should be doctors there. 100%. There should be like people asking them after games. How are you feeling mentally? Because like I don't know if you felt it, but like me personally, like with everything going on and getting yelled at and the whole telling people to wear masks, like it gets tiring, like mentally you feel like you're about to explode. And players that are playing with pressure of a new contract or free agency or risking an injury, they're probably like, they feel like, oh wow, this is going to be my last game. So I do feel like there should be like a hotline or something for players to like vent and get their problems out there.
Right. I agree, because you let stuff like that out, is less that you're holding on to, and it makes you feel better about yourself and on the outlook of things. So you feel good, man. And I feel like that point is a very valid point, because there's been guys that's come out and said they struggle with depression and mental health issues, like DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love.
Shout out to Kevin Love.
So stuff like that is really important. But on to probably the last subject. This Mr. Undressing this here Kareem video of his. We need to discuss the Kareem video a little bit, man. And probably to close the pod, we could, discuss kind of an all-time ranking kind of thing, where we see certain guys, maybe our top 5, top 10 or whatever. But let's talk about, Kareem video for a little bit. What's going on through your mind, man? How you feeling about Kareem?
Listen, man, this guy played 20 years in the league, man. Just like Kobe did, and people think that Shaq carried Kobe because Prime LeBron 23 on Twitter said that he carried him, and that's the consensus that he carried Kobe. So I was digging, I did my research, and there was 5 years that Kareem didn't play without Magic, the greatest point guard of all time, and Oscar Robertson, who's top 5. Mm-hmm. He missed the playoffs twice. He lost in the first round. He lost in the second round, and he got swept by a team that won less than 50 games. Today we see 45, 46, 47 win teams in the first round. This team was in the finals. You know what I mean?
Sheesh.
So people say, Kobe missed the playoffs from 2005 to 2007, and he really lost in the first round to the Suns, who were one of the greatest offenses of all time, if not the greatest offense of all time. And they were holding him accountable. And the spacing was better in 2000. The competition was better in the 2000. You had guys like AI, Reggie Miller, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker. I mean, we can be here till midnight talking about the talent in the late 2000s, man. Tracy McGrady. So why are we bashing Kobe for missing the playoffs, but we're not bashing Kareem? Kareem won an MVP in 1976 with the Lakers, and they finished under 500. And people bashed Russell Westbrook 3 years ago for being a 60. The standards that great players get held to are not the same, And in 1972, the Bucks, they played the Warriors, and Oscar Robertson got injured in the first 5 games, and Kareem had 37 points, 23 rebounds, and 8 assists. But they don't care about the stats. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They only care about the stats to fit their agenda.
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't fit their narrative.
So we're going to talk about Kareem. We're just going to call a spade a spade. He lost.
Yeah.
That's it. So I just feel like, and people say you're not going to appreciate him till he's gone. Well, Kobe's gone, and there's still 16,000 gazillion tweets a day talking about how Kobe Bryant's overrated. Let the man rest in peace, yo. And people are like, well, you only care because, he's dead now. No, just let the man rest in peace. Oh, well, you're a fan of him. But, I don't care. Just let him rest in peace. How would you feel if you were dead and people talk about how you threw a chocolate milk across the cafeteria when you were 10 years old? So, when people talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they don't talk about the competition. They don't talk about the ABA. They don't talk about his MVPs against Dave Cowens, Bill Walton, Gus Williams. You don't even know these guys.
Yeah.
Guys like Hakeem, Shaq, Kobe, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic. They're
constantly
all
facing elite competition.
10.
Yeah.
They're all in a top. Well, Magic and Bird and that Kobe, that's a different conversation. I'm going to have a video soon on why Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. But those are guys that are on everyone's top 10.
Right.
You don't hear, if I have a discussion with you, you're not going to hear me say, Gus Williams is a top 15 player of all time. Because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So when guys like Kareem get outplayed by Gus Williams, Bill Walton, and Dave Cowens, why don't people talk about it? Oh, well, he has 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs. Oh, but in Game 7 in 1988, he only scored 4 points. He was 38 years old. So why are you crediting him the ring when he only had 4 points in a Game 7?
Yeah.
And only
it's if T-Mac would have won a ring with the Spurs.
they would have put him higher than Kobe.
Yeah.
Prime T-Mac, he was a monster. He averaged 33 a game in 2003. The standards that Mike, Kobe, and LeBron get held to are different than Duncan, Shaq, Kareem, Oscar, Will, Bill. You can name any player. But, I'm sick and tired of Kobe getting discredited for things that he can't control. He shot 6 of 24 in a Game 7. Did you watch the fourth quarter? No. You looked at
15 rebounds, too. Nobody likes to look at that. But
No. Scoring is the only way to impact the game.
Apparently.
The field goal, that's the only way to impact the game. So, in 2009, he was facing 51 teams the whole playoffs.
And end up beating the number 1 team or the number 2 team in the East in the finals, who I believe had the number 1 defense
in the NBA.
Yeah. So it's if you want to use that narrative, then you just gonna make Kobe look better. So I mean, people don't realize that they make certain people look better by stating, random context that they feel like is going to help their argument. Like you saying that Kobe faced all these teams, you making him look better, if anything, than, if you comparing them to somebody else. And people don't realize that. And it cracks me up every single time. It's like,
there's not a statistic that you could use.
Yeah.
There's not a single statistic you could use to say that Kobe didn't face less competition than LeBron or Mike or Kareem or Magic or Bird or any other great player you could think of. Exactly. And people are like, oh, well, you live on Basketball for reference. I mean, you could literally Google it. Look at all the 51 teams that Kobe faced.
It's not hard to search on Google.
It's not hard to use the engine bar. Oh, but you use Basketball reference to discredit Kobe and his legacy because the advanced stats don't fit it. So when you talk about winning and you talk about record, you're like, oh, let's ignore that too. So which side are you on? You can't have it both ways.
It's so weird. I don't understand it.
Like I said, man, like when I get into Kobe debates, it's literally just to praise him, but just let the man rest in peace. Yeah. We're working on 6 months this month. It doesn't feel real, but it's just time, man. Just let the man rest in peace. Yeah. I just feel like it's just bogus, and we shouldn't have to be discussing like why he's overrated or why he stinks or why he missed the playoffs, man. Just appreciate, man.
All right, so before this whole thing gets cut off, y'all know how Zoom is, so we got about a minute and a half. So I'm going to ask y'all real quick. Mike, who is your top 5 players of all time? Like, who you think is the top 5 best ever? It don't even got to be in order. Who's the top 5 for you?
I got Kobe, KD, where does LeBron, of course. I like Shaq, and if I had to, that's a tough spot, but I'm gonna just say Hakeem.
Okay. So, Dress, what you got for the top 5, man? What you got?
I got Mike, Bron, Kobe, R.I.P., Hakeem, and Magic at numero 5.
Okay, and then for me, I'm gonna close it out. Top 5. It's not even in order. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Magic. 5th, I'm gonna let Tim Duncan have a spot because he got like 15 all defensive selections. But yeah, I'll give it to TD, bro.
Everyone's gonna watch this video and they're gonna say, "Oh, you put Kobe over LeBron over time." So, he's just saying, not in order, man.
It's not in order. Yeah, man. All right, man. We knocked this pod out. Appreciate y'all coming on, fellas. We got to do this again very soon. And that's it for the SoCal Intellect Podcast. I want to end this podcast by saying my 5 isn't in order, but Kobe is the GOAT. That's all I'm going to say on that. And we out till next time. I'll see y'all.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. COVID-19 is real. Wear a mask. All right, we out.
Not a hoax.
Can we get much higher?